woman, if you think about it, this woman was among the earliest governors to take a crack at addressing public spending in her state. You might have heard she went on to some fame as, I think she ran for vice president or something like that. Sarah Palin, the former governor of the great state of Alaska. Governor, very good to have you. You've heard these polls are too close to call right now. You worried for Governor Walker?
Governor Walker is not going to get recalled, nor will his Lieutenant Governor Clayfish. I believe that the good folks in Wisconsin understand that austerity is a good thing. This is a virtue that the governor is representing, as he's just letting the public know that they have the opportunity to live within their means, actually cut government spending, and see the private sector be able to create jobs. It's a good thing, and I believe Wisconsin voters will be embracing that.
Do you think there's anything to the closeness of the vote? If it is close, I guess you can argue, like you say, Governor, a win is a win. But if it's a close win, is there any vindication in that he just barely survived, that he's a crippled governor for the remaining couple of years here? What do you think?
I think it's going to empower the governor of Wisconsin and other fiscally conservative, responsible governors across our nation. And we're going to see that relentless and needed reform when it comes to government spending on that state level as a result of this election, Neil. I think that we can't wait for the feds to do this. We can't wait for the president or Congress to do this for us. But on a state and local level, when we elect and keep in office those willing to serve for the right reasons, and that's to hold tight the sacred trust that they have when they're spending other people's money and spend it responsibly and rein in government growth, I think that these state leaders are going to teach the national leaders a lesson.
Do you think that a Walker victory here, whatever the margin, Governor, emboldens other governors of either party to take a crack at reining in these public costs, the pensions and the health care spending that's running amok? If you think about it, Andrew Cuomo is trying to do that in New York, and he might secretly want a result like this because it would embolden him to do just this same sort of thing. What do you think?
No question will it embolden and empower other governors like Governor Cuomo, and hats off to him. Early on in his term, he had kind of declared that he would have a fiscally conservative and responsible bent to his spending of other people's money. So though he is in a different party, the other party, he recognizes what government's proper role can be in our business and personal lives. And I think that he will be one, too, to follow what Governor Walker is able to succeed in doing in reining in the government growth. And it's all about allowing then more opportunities for the private sector to thrive and grow and invest more of what our business owners earn and produce so that they can hire more people. That's what this is all about.
Well, it isn't going down well. Let's say the governor does eke out a victory here. Governor, we could show, you probably don't have access to a screen here to see what's going on, but the crowds are building here as anticipated, as protesters and those who promised they'd descend on Madison are doing just that. They're gathering around here. I'm a horrible judge of crowds, but it's bigger than it was. And yet, this might not be typical, despite all these people who are angry. A majority of Wisconsin voters might have, whether they're the silent majority, might have decided otherwise. What do you make of the dichotomy between those who are vocal and angry and make it known and those who are quiet and just vote?
Well, I think the vast majority of Americans are just quiet and they just vote because they're busy raising their families and running their businesses and just living life, and they're not ones to be caught up in the political furor that you see there in Wisconsin. But those who are angry, Neil, some of them, bless their hearts, and I say this as a former union member and my husband a union member, I think a lot of these good union brothers and sisters who are angry have been led astray by their union leadership. This union leadership has wasted tens of millions of dollars of their union dues trying to recall a governor who has merely fulfilled promises in his campaign. In a duly elected, very fair election, you usher in a new agenda via Governor Walker saying that he's going to make sure that the state lives within its means so that it is a solvent and ultimately prosperous state. He's fulfilling his commitments, and some of these union members, via these I guess, proclamations, if you will, from the union leadership, the thugs, telling them that they're getting screwed. Well, Neil, it's unfair to these good union brothers and sisters who I believe are being led astray, and they're manifesting that as being angry.
You know, Governor, it's interesting in these Fox tracking polls we took, these exit polls, President Obama is still thought of very highly here. In fact, he has roughly the same approval as does Governor Walker. When asked how would you vote in November versus Mitt Romney, by anywhere from a 5 to 8 point margin, the president is preferred. That might explain why he opted not to get in this race. So what do you make of that, and whether Wisconsin is in play for Republicans or not?
Well, I think it's quite telling that the president did choose to stay away from the Walker recall effort until that obligatory effort just at the last minute via video and maybe a little spot that he did. He knows that he cannot be attached to this effort that would try to fool the people into believing that bigger government, more debt, insolvency is a way to create jobs and to save an economy. He doesn't want himself tainted with what a lot of this issue is all about. So I think it's telling that the president stayed away until he was kind of goaded into making a comment or two about it, because I believe that he's just going to be appalled and shocked to see that the majority of voters in a state like Wisconsin and elsewhere, despite the fact that maybe they like Obama as a person, understand that bigger government, centralized government, isn't the answer. It truly is the problem.
Governor, when I spoke to Governor Scott Walker, he talked about how, despite the notoriety he's getting here, he's not interested in running for president. He's not interested in being Mitt Romney's running mate. But he did say there's one Wisconsinite he would put on that ticket if it were up to him, and that is Paul Ryan. What do you think of that?
I think Paul Ryan is a good egg. He truly is a fiscal conservative. I get frustrated just as a member of the general public that even Paul Ryan, I believe, sometimes doesn't go far enough. We need sudden and relentless reform when it comes to reining in the government's budget as we're spending more and more of our children and grandchildren's $4 billion a day, Neil, that we're incurring in debt on a national level. It's unethical. It's immoral. I think it's illegal that we're doing such a thing. Paul Ryan, at least, is in the arena fighting it out, trying to share these good ideas of how to rein it in. More power to him.
So when you hear President Clinton, as he did, I think today, he was saying a little bit of it yesterday, that now is not the time for big austerity, that it would have just the opposite effect. It would make a bad situation worse. What do you say?
And yet President Clinton, bless his heart, he worked closely with Newt Gingrich those years ago to balance budgets and allow a surplus on the federal level. That was a bit of austerity that he embraced and he practiced, and we appreciate his efforts. So, I think he's got to kind of say what he's got to say, for his party and for his cause. But I believe deep, deep in his heart and in his gut, President Clinton knows we need austerity measures. He knows we can't go the way of these European nations that are going under. And America has the opportunity with the workforce, with the technology, with the natural resources to be developed. We have the opportunity to rein in government, allow the private sector to do what it does best, and our entrepreneurs to reinvest and create jobs. And that entails a bit of austerity.
Governor, as I'm speaking to you, you might even be hearing yourself, and the horn honking, the yelling, the screaming. And it was just occurring to me, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, how divided this state remains, how divided we as a country remain. There's a great deal of acrimony. I saw it myself when I was broadcasting street side yesterday. Some people actually really liked me and said nice things, Governor, and other people said things well, I know you encounter yourself, good and bad, but said things I can't repeat. There are children watching this hour. So it's an extreme love-hate type of thing. And I don't know in this environment whatever the results tonight, whatever the results in November, whether that changes, are we just going to be a perpetually, severely divided America? What do you think?
We will be perpetually, severely divided as long as people believe that private political parties are the answer to solving so many of America's economic challenges. Sometimes people put partisanship in the way of just doing what's right for the people and applying common sense to what our economic woes are today. If people can just kind of back off, back away from that obsessive partisanship and understand what it's going to take to put the economy back on the right track, then and just within that is an inherent unifier right there. Just the ideas of common sense, of living within our means as a government, of allowing the private sector to grow and thrive. Once we get there, Neil, and I think we're going to be forced to get there, again, as we watch the European countries sink under debt, I think that we will unify. We will have no choice. Otherwise, America will go down that path of some of these insolvent European countries. We'll go under. So we kind of have no choice here. If we want to save our republic, we have to unify, not put obsessive partisanship in front of just doing what's right in reining in government spending.
All right, Governor Sarah Palin, it is always a pleasure and an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Governor.